Hello. As instructional coaches and leaders, it is important that we have good relationships with the adult students that we are teaching. Adult learners are taking classes for very specific purposes, usually working and raising families while taking classes. We want to make them feel like they are getting the most out of their time. And if we put the time into getting to know them and their interests and needs, we will be better able to meet their needs and help them reach their goals so that they are successful. We want our adult students to be able to let their guard down and trust us. We have to show them that we can help them. This is where the ability to communicate effective descriptive feedback comes into play. In this video, I will demonstrate 2 strategies for communicating effective descriptive feedback for adult students. Building trusting relationships with our students is equally important. If students do not think we care about them as individuals, how can they trust us that we have their best interest in mind? If they do not trust us, they will be less likely to come to our classes, pay attention in class, and give effort. When students believe that they are cared for and respected by their teachers, they will reciprocate that respect and the trust. If we want students to be successful, we must have good relationships with them. In this video, I will also be demonstrating 2 instructional approaches to building relationships with students. Jim, let's take a look at the lesson you taught in your nutritional science class. The goal you set for yourself is communicating your purpose for the day clearly and effectively, checking for understanding, and referring to your purpose throughout your lesson and in your wrap-up.
Yes, I always write the purpose for the day on the board, but I don't always refer to it, so it is kind of pointless. I wanted to make sure my students know the purpose for the day, and I wanted to refer to it multiple times throughout the lesson.
Okay, let's take a look. All right. You introduce the lesson and the purpose for the day, identifying the 6 nutrients and food sources for each one. You go over the agenda for the period, and then you ask the class what they're going to do first, second, third, and finally. You then ask what the purpose of today's lesson is. You call on the student and ask them to elaborate. You call on another student and then one more student. The students form groups and get to work on creating a poster for the nutrient they have been assigned. You circulate the room while they work, answering clarifying questions and giving students feedback. You let them know when they have 10 minutes left, then 5 minutes, and then 3 minutes. You refer to your daily purpose before students begin presenting. Students present their posters on the 6 nutrients. You ask each group a question and clarify any information they get confused about. You refer to your purpose again, and then you have the students put their materials away and take out a sheet of paper and pencil. You ask them to write the 6 nutrients down and give 1 food source for each nutrient. Students handed these papers in as their exit ticket. How do you think that you did in meeting your goal?
I think I did pretty well. I made it a point to go over the purpose at the beginning of the class. I even put it in my agenda to remind myself. I checked with multiple students for understanding of the purpose, and I referred to it before and after they presented. Their exit ticket was a more formal way to check their understanding. I'm going to grade those, and that will tell me whether or not they have met the goal I set for them, or if we need to go over the 6 nutrients and food sources in more depth.
Good. It sounds like you're pretty happy with the way everything went. Is there anything that you wish would have gone differently in the lesson?
Yes. Next time, I'm not allowing them to form their own groups. Joanna and Jackie were very talkative, and I used proximity to their group to keep them on task, but I will not put them in the same group again.
That sounds like a good plan. We have all been there before. I have even had classes where I have so many talkers that it's hard to separate them all. Proximity seemed to work well in your instance.
Yeah, this time it worked.
Okay. All right. Let's look at the rubric for creating a culturally responsive lesson and see how you did.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you got a 4 in level of engagement. You set the stage relating the 6 nutrients to their lives. You made it personal to them. You talked about how everyone needs these 6 nutrients to live and how these nutrients are the foundation of the class. You also had them write down food sources that they actually like and they actually eat to make it relevant to their lives. Students were engaged throughout the lesson and during their presentations. You had them take notes during the presentations to keep them engaged. You collected the exit tickets as they left, and everyone handed one in. Do you have any questions or anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. Thank you for this feedback. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for. No worries. Let me know if you need any other help. Okay, let's talk a little bit about building relationships with your students. It's important to take time to get to know all of your students. Your students should feel like you genuinely care about them and their success. There are little things you can do every day to build relationships with your students. The first thing I like to do is welcome them when they come into the classroom. How might you do that?
Well, I could simply say hello or ask them how their day is going.
Perfect.
I could also ask them how their game went the night before, or chat a little bit about Sunday's 49er Giants or Warrior game if I know they're into sports.
That's awesome. You just named 2 strategies to building relationships with students. Taking interest in what they're passionate about is one way that you can build their relationship, having those little chats with them as they come into class. Another way is finding common interests that you both enjoy, common ground. It's a great way to build relationship with students. Can you think of other ways you might show students that you care about them as individuals?
I guess showing concern for them if they look like they're not feeling well or falling asleep in class. Instead of writing them about why they aren't involved in class discussion, I could ask them if they're feeling okay or if everything is okay privately.
Yeah, that's another really good way to show that you really care. You don't want to assume that they don't care or that if they seem out of it, you just don't want to assume that. Many of our students, sometimes they haven't slept the night before. Who knows the last time they've eaten? They could be really hungry or not feeling well. But if you take them aside and ask them privately, you're giving them that chance to tell you what they need, and you're opening that door, and that's a great place to start with building that relationship. If you simply assume that they don't care, and you get upset with them, then you kind of shut that door, and you kind of they will shut down, and you'll lose that trust. And instead of genuinely checking in with them, they're going to notice that, and over time you're going to build that trust, and they're going to believe that you really care about them and their success in school.
Makes sense.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.